The secret to growing an online business where you are making more sales from your jewelry on your website is to get regular traffic on your website. And you might be wondering, like, how do I get it? Do I run Facebook ads? Do I continue to post on Instagram? All the things that I'm doing, like I'm spending all this time making content, but it only lasts for like a couple of days or hours. And that's exhausting, and none of us got time for that. Well, one of the best ways to continual traffic to your website is to use a platform that we all know and love called Pinterest. But with so many changes that are happening to the Pinterest platform, you might be wondering, how do I use it to the best to actually grow my audience to make more sales? Well, you're in luck if you've been trying to get more traffic and you want to create content that once you post it, continually drives traffic for many years down the road, then Pinterest is your platform. Today, I'm interviewing Andrea Lee of Red Pin Geek and Andrea Lee Jewelry, and she's going to share with us her strategy of how she's used Pinterest to do amazing things for her jewelry business. She also coaches about Pinterest in our program over here at Flourish and Thrive Academy called Momentum. You're going to love this interview. Andrea is a graduate of our Laying the Foundation program. She's been to many of our events, and we asked her to come in to talk today about Pinterest because she's coaching students in our Momentum program, and the effects of that Pinterest coaching has gotten our students great results, as you're going to see from this interview. So let's dive into the interview. But before you do, if you haven't done so yet, make sure that you subscribe to our channel, that you like this post, and after this interview is over, tell us one takeaway in the comments below. All right, let's dive into this interview with Andrea Lee. I am so excited to be here with Andrea Lee, who is a Laying the Foundation graduate. She also coaches on Pinterest in our Momentum program. Andrea, thank you so much for being here.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
And I also forgot to mention that in there that you're also a jewelry designer. That's obviously Laying the Foundation, but you're wearing your beautiful jewelry, I'm assuming, today.
Yep, I am.
That's amazing. So Andrea, I'm super excited to have you here, primarily because I've interviewed people about Pinterest before, and you are getting our students in the Momentum program really great results with growing their Pinterest and also getting traffic to their website. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about that today because we're kind of prepping for holiday season. I don't know how we're interviewing this in August, where this interview is not going to go obviously on the same date that we're interviewing, but the holiday season is going to be here before we know it. 2021 is going to be over before we know it. I don't know. These have been the last two fastest, slowest years of my entire life, but
it's so true.
But we want to get people like prepared. I'm like, how is it already August? I'm like, but this has also been the longest year ever.
Yeah, it's been weird. The last 2 years have definitely messed with my sense of time for sure.
So before we dive in, why don't you tell us a little bit about your history into jewelry design and like what you're doing with Pinterest right now? Because you have a really interesting background.
Yeah, well, I started into my Pinterest marketing journey about, I would say 4 years ago. And that was actually through your old coach who used to do Pinterest training for Momentum. Back then it was, I think it was SOS. It was called SOS.
Yep.
And I just kind of got into it and I started building out my account. And I actually got contacted by Pinterest to see if I was interested in being a beta tester for a new product that they were in development with. So this was actually for story pins, but are now idea pins now. So I was one of the very first beta testers.
Wow.
And so I started using these things like crazy, and they took notice. They saw that I was using it a lot. And so I started working with their internal development teams to help guide the product. So they would come out with new features and ask me to test it. And then we get on Zoom calls with their development teams. And so that's kind of how my Pinterest journey started. And then they also invited me to their headquarters in San Francisco to be a presenter at their annual conference called NitCon, and also to be part of their creators conference too. So they only invited about 12 pinners from the platform that year.
Wow.
So that was quite the honor. And, since then I've just been in the Rolodex. So I've actually sat in on some fireside fireside chats with some of their internal teams, their customer success teams. So I've worked with a handful of different internal teams. So I'm getting really good information about how to be successful on the platform because I've worked and I still continue to work very closely with a lot of their internal teams. So that's kind of, I fell in love with the platform really because of all of that, but it also is just an incredible traffic driver because it's a discovery platform. People go there because they want to discover something new. Most of the searches are unbranded. So, smaller businesses who are utilizing the platform correctly and using your keywords and your SEO can get some really great exposure to new audiences, people who are not familiar with your brand.
That is so fantastic and exciting at the same time. And it's so fun to watch because, I feel like when you were at that event where we were the Flourish and Thrive Live event, where we were talking about Pinterest and you were learning more about using it and dialing in. I mean, even before that, so much had happened for your business because you were growing your company with our Laying the Foundation program. And now you're using Pinterest to actually sell more of your products because I know that Pinterest has been like a massive platform, especially for jewelry of a certain price point. And what I can say for my own business, for my own jewelry business, is a lot of times people have found engagement rings when I was a little bit more active on Pinterest. I'm going to get back and work on it a little bit more. But for my own jewelry company, like a lot in the earlier days, like I would get a lot of people saying like, I found one of your rings on Pinterest that someone else pinned, and I'd love to talk to you about a custom piece. So there's a lot of opportunities for traffic driving, as you mentioned. So before in the pre-interview, you were talking about a lot of changes in Pinterest, but more than anything, I want to really drive home, like, why do you love Pinterest so much? And what has it really done for you that everyone needs to know about?
Well, I love it because it's a discovery platform and it's an attraction platform, just kind of like podcasting is, YouTube channels, anything that gets people to go to your website to check out more about you, right? So, Instagram is a little bit more of an engagement platform. Those are with basically for your warm audience, people who are already familiar with your brands, but Pinterest captures cold audiences. So that's why I love it. I actually like to use it primarily as an acquisition funnel to get new people onto my email list so I can actually follow up with them. And that's kind of where the magic happens. And then I kind of work them through that customer journey once they're on my list. But Pinterest is a great place to get people who aren't familiar at all with your brand to bump into you. So it's been very effective in that sense.
That is awesome. So for a jewelry company, like, how have you found it? Like, what do you feel like the best use of the platform is? I mean, I know it's to get people to find you, but like, how have you used it? Because you shared something with me, but I don't want to spill the beans about what you did or something.
Well, I use it for my blog content. Basically, that's like my main promotional platform for all my blog content. So I come up with searchable topics. I usually do a content sprint at the beginning of every quarter. And I figure out what kind of blog content topics I want to cover. Most of them are going to be pretty searchable, right? How to clean your silver jewelry, how to remove tarnish from your silver jewelry. These are things that people are coming to Pinterest actively looking for solutions. So coming up with what topics I want to cover and also trying to tie that into any core offer that I have for that quarter also. So if I know I'm doing a new collection drop and it's going to be, sterling silver and aquamarine, I might do a blog post on aquamarines, right? Just educating people about the gemstone. And then maybe I'll do a couple blog posts about silver, like how to store your silver jewelry, how to clean it, all of those things. And then I will create a couple opt-ins that are related to each of those blog post topics. And then I will make pins once I have those posts published, I'll make pins for those. And then I'll also make pins to promote the opt-in. And so that gets people over to my site. So I can also convert them when they get to my site because I have that really sexy opt-in that people want to hand over their email address to get access to. And then from there, that's where you do the nurture sequence. You want to make sure that you have a welcome sequence in place. So you are nurturing that lead once they are on your list. And then, of course, publishing more blog blog content every quarter with new opt-ins is a great way to also further nurture that list that you built, and also create more content to get more people into your funnels. So that's how I love to use it. It's been very effective for me in that way. I actually did a whole holiday campaign last year, and I created a gift guide, and I created a bunch of pins. I created a bunch of blog content about online shopping around the holidays, just because we were in the middle of the pandemic and no one was going to the malls to get gifts anymore. So I did a whole bunch of content around topics that I thought would be super relevant for people dealing with the holidays in a new pandemic world. So that's actually doubled my email list last year. So that was an incredible success.
Okay, so I have 2 questions to follow up on that. Give an example, like, because I know a lot of people, they don't maybe know the language opt-in, or like, what do you mean by that? So like, give me an example of some of the offers or whatever what are you giving people in exchange for their email address?
So I have made gemstone guides before. So, like I said, I made an aquamarine gemstone guide. I made a whole silver guide. I mean, it was a complete guide on everything silver. Like, I broke down all the different types of silver, how to clean your silver, how to remove tarnish from your silver jewelry, what to avoid to prevent tarnish, just a whole resource of everything about how to care for your silver jewelry. And then I've done gift guides. Gift guides do pretty well. I've done style guides for every season, complete with like Pantone colors of the season, and how different jewelry is styled with some of the hot looks that are, on the runway. So those are just some ideas to start. Let's see here. This year I did a pearl guide that I just actually completed, and I got pins out. I'm actually doing a bunch of idea pins for. So that I have high hopes for, because I spent so much time on it. It's beautiful. It's 60 pages long. It covers everything pearls, how they're cultivated, which regions they're cultivated in, breaking down what nacre is, and breaking down what color of pearls look best with depending on your skin tone. I mean, it's a huge comprehensive. I mean, I should get it printed and sell them on my site. Yeah, I should. But yeah, exactly. So, I kind of go well beyond expectations as far as like opt-ins are concerned. I really want to give a lot of value with my opt-ins. So I actually spend a lot of time on those. Most of my time, interestingly enough, is not spent on Pinterest itself. It's spent creating the content that I'm going to publish on the platform. So that's another benefit too, is that you actually don't need to spend a lot of time on the platform to be very successful with your marketing. Yeah. So if you're the kind of person that doesn't want to sit on social media all the time, this is a great solution for you if you want to explore another platform that doesn't force you to stay on and inside the app like Instagram or Facebook. They don't like you to leave. So they want you to stay and engage. And Pinterest is a search engine. So people, if you're creating good content that's searchable and you're using keywords in your profile, your board titles, your board descriptions, your pin titles, your pin descriptions, your content's going to be searchable. So when someone's coming to the platform to look for sterling silver rings, or how to clean silver jewelry, your content, if you're using it correctly with the SEO, it's just going to get served up in search. And so again, that's that whole discovery component as well.
So can you give me an example? Like, what would be a good SEO caption, SEO searchable caption for Pinterest, let's say for silver rings?
I would, if you have sterling silver rings with gemstones, that would be a great pin title, or even put that into your pin description. I like to go and kind of spy on other jewelry designers on Pinterest to see what keywords they're using with the top pins that are being served up in a search. So I'll just kind of do some research, and I'll go to the search bar and I'll type in sterling silver rings, and I'll see what pins Pinterest is serving up first in that search query. And then I will click into those pins and look at what whoever published those pins, what keywords they're using. And so I have a spreadsheet with all sorts of keywords that I've researched, both single keywords and also long tail keywords as well.
Awesome. And does Pinterest use hashtags?
They used to. Well, they do. The technical answer is yes, they still do. But they have come out and clearly stated that they don't really prioritize that anymore. So I've stopped using hashtags just for that reason, because it's not really effective. And Pinterest has come out to say that. They're like, yeah, don't use hashtags anymore. So, but you can still, the weird thing is that it still is something that is a search function on the platform. So there has been a lot of confusion around hashtags, yes or no, but at the end of the day, I got to go with what Pinterest has said.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you about content pillars and some things in just a minute. But before we go into that, I logged into our Pinterest because as we would transition out of bringing new people into our marketing team and stuff, and we haven't been fully utilizing Pinterest. I was like, what happened? All the boards were gone and I couldn't figure it out. So we were talking in the pre-show and you gave me a really good explanation of what's happening because Pinterest is making some changes. So if people haven't been on Pinterest, or they're kind of what the heck happened to my Pinterest?
Yeah. I remember actually when they made that changeover and I was like, what happened to my account? So Pinterest is making a lot of changes really to better support their creators and to prioritize people with business accounts. So they're making a lot of optimizations to how your account looks when you get there, because they are trying to connect pinners with their creators. And so they're putting a lot more emphasis on your profile, which before was not important at all. It was actually rather opaque to even find the original account that had actually pinned a pin. But now they're making it very easy for you to identify which account actually originally published those pins if you come up with one in your feed. So if you have a business account, your account's going to look a little different. So you're going to have on the front page, if you're an e-com shop too, this is important, and you've uploaded your product catalog to Pinterest, the first page on your profile is going to be all of your product pins from your product catalog. And then there's a second tab, which is created. So that tab shows all the pins that you personally as a brand have created. And then the third tab is all the pins that you have saved. So that's where your boards now live. They don't live on that front page now when you land on your profile. They're kind of tucked away because they really want to put your brand, your products front and center.
Okay. Awesome. I got it. Okay. Cool. So we were talking also about the types of content, and you're you definitely want probably, you didn't say this, I'm guessing that you definitely want images of your jewelry because you want people to be pinning that stuff on board. So how would you anchor different types of content, and what's the strategy that you give behind to increase your views and traffic to your website?
So I definitely post product pins. I highly suggest that you put text overlay on your product pins to give that pin a little bit of context, because people are mostly using Pinterest from the mobile app. So there's a two bar mobile feed on the mobile app, and people are scrolling through that pretty fast. And if there's text overlay to give your pin a little bit more context, you have a much higher chance of people clicking through to get a closer look at your pin and to get a little bit, to find out more basically about it. So
can you give an example of what that might look like for a product?
Yeah. So for my product, a lot of my text overlay is to kind of really appeal to people with different search intent. So maybe I'll be an example of text overlay that I've used on a pin recently is discover or find your next statement piece for the next girls' night out, right? Trying to appeal to people coming out of COVID, going out again with their friends. So I'm doing a lot of time to get excited to get dressed up again, is something that I would use on those product pins. I use a lot of text overlay to appeal to emotions as well. So, one is, I think, luxury is happiness, or anything to kind of appeal to that emotional, because jewelry is just, it's so highly emotional. So any kind of text overlay that kind of appeals to people in that sense is also very effective.
Or like the ring that'll make her swoon or something like
that. Yes, exactly. Perfect. That is exactly. Yep, exactly. So, I mean, kind of think of it a little bit like ad copy, right? You want to entice people to click through and to get to your site. So you can also use, literal text like 14 karat gold with ruby ring or something like that also, because Pinterest does actually read the text on your pins as well. So that kind of is another placement where you can utilize SEO also. So you can also get very literal with your text overlay as well.
Amazing. Okay, cool. And then so I'm assuming it's the same thing. Like if you had an opt-in, like, 5 holiday gifts that you need for.
Yes. Perfect. You got it. That's it.
Or like it's the 3 layering trends you can't live without.
Yes. I love it. Gosh, I'm going to steal some of your copy snippets.
Fall style guide is going to
get you exactly.
I was kidding.
Perfect. Yep, exactly. So, just anything that you can do to really entice people to click over or like make that opt-in super desirable, right? So anything you can do in that sense. I always like to treat all of my copy like ad copy.
Yeah.
Basically.
So that's a good point, because like, obviously you want this to be relatable to your brand, because what's going to work for your company, Andrea, is not going to be the same kind of copy that I'm going to use for my company, or the same kind of copy that someone who's doing like healing gemstone, yoga jewelry.
Yes. Oh, just the kind of copy that that's going to appeal to your dream client. That's going to depend on what kind of jewelry you make, whether it's fashion jewelry, whether it's fine jewelry. You will probably have a little bit of a different tone in your copy if you're a fine jeweler who's selling your pieces for like $50,000 a piece. Yeah. So versus someone who's selling, cold connection pieces for, $100. So that's going to be a little bit different.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So, and you made a point. Well, so I don't know if Pinterest has changed or if you have a philosophy on this, because you mentioned something in the pre-interview that you wouldn't, and we'll get to ads in a minute, but you wouldn't necessarily run ads unless it was a really low end product that you were promoting.
Yeah. If you're wanting to do ads direct to sale, I wouldn't recommend that you do it if you have products over $50. It's kind of a waste of money. And I would prefer that you do a traffic campaign to a landing page with an opt-in, so you can build your list, you can nurture that lead, and then maybe do a retargeting campaign later, right? I think you would have a lot more success with that. You just really have to kind of figure out what your cost per click is worth, right? Or what your conversion is worth. So say you want to try, I think that it would be very effective to run a promoted pin campaign that is going to an opt-in. And you can, especially if you've already published pins for different opt-ins and one is kind of a clear winner, like you're already getting a lot of organic traction, that would be maybe a good signal that you should maybe do a promoted pin with that particular pin going to that particular opt-in.
I love that. Okay, that's awesome. So a couple of years ago, Pinterest started video. Is that still a thing?
Oh my gosh, it's huge. I think we can all agree that video is just taking over the internet at this point. This is happening, TikTok, and then Reels came out in the answer of TikTok because it was so huge. And Pinterest is jumping on the bandwagon for sure. Idea pins if you're going to do one thing for your Pinterest strategy today to improve it, is to start using idea pins.
These are like the version of stories.
Yes, exactly. Okay. So they actually changed the name to idea pins about 3 months ago. So it's been a rough transition for me to remember to call them idea pins, because I've been calling them story pins for years now. So, but yes. So, and really what the idea pins are meant to do too. And again, this is kind of really tying in very closely to the fact that Pinterest is wanting to become a little bit more of an engagement platform rather than just a pure search platform, right? Because that's basically what its function has been. And it's still its core function, but they want to start keeping people inside of their ecosystem. And so one way that they're doing that is with these idea pins, which is their first product that does not allow you to link out. And a lot of creators were a lot of creators were not happy with this, but Pinterest is really trying to move people to your profile, actually, and to follow your profile. So followership, actually, which was not important at all.
Interesting.
At all for years. I mean, ever since the inception of Pinterest, followership has not been very important. But now they're really trying to point people to your profile to follow you. And in fact, I don't think they do it now, but for a while there, they were putting a title card at the end of all of your published idea pins automatically with a follow button. I think that's still there. I don't think I see it when I publish my own idea pins, but I actually just do a social card at the end of all of my idea pins anyway to prompt people to follow me on my account. But they want you to basically use idea pins to fully extrapolate of one concept, right? You don't want to tease people and then try to get people over to your blog posts like you normally have. That's how you would actually create and publish pins, is to tease the content to get people to get over to your site. They want you to explain the whole thing inside that idea pin. So a lot of recipe bloggers are using it to walk people through the entire way how to make a recipe, or a lot of DIY bloggers are using idea pins to show how to complete one project. I'm using idea pins really to, I'm using a lot of my blog content, repurposing it into the idea pin format. So I'll take a whole concept, like maybe Pearl history, and I'll break that blog post down into 3 idea pins that walk people through an entire kind of chapter, right, of Pearl history. And so that's kind of how I'm doing.
Is this video content or like text?
Yeah, so it's a mix. So there's the editor for creating idea pins on mobile is a lot more robust and a lot more similar to like all the functionality you would get maybe with a reel, right? You can add music, you can edit inside, you can do voiceover, you can add stickers, you can do all that. On the desktop, it's pretty basic. They really want people to create it on the fly on their mobile. So that's why they made it so much more robust on mobile than it is on desktop. And honestly, you could probably, a lot of people have reused content that they published on TikTok in the idea pin format. So, if I feel like everyone, complains about being on the hamster wheel of content creation, because literally, I think to some extent, we all are. And so, if you're like, oh no, another thing to create content for, just to start using idea pins, I would say if you already have a reel created for Instagram, or if you've already done a TikTok, repurpose it on Pinterest,
And what's the length for these idea pins?
So you can publish up to 20 pages within an idea pin. They highly encourage using video as your cover, because that's going to catch the attention in the feed. And then they also recommend using video in all the other pages as well, especially if this has been really helpful for people who are trying to show a tutorial on how to do something, right? Using video, it would be a lot more effective to use video to show someone how to do something than just static images and text. But they also has a text editor, so you can also add text as well. Up to 20 pages. They do not, like I said, they do not allow you to link out. They don't want you to put links in your text either. They just discourage that. I think they give idea pins with links lower distribution. So they
Mm.
do punish you. They do punish you for that if you try to
Don't
hack
put
the
a
system.
link. Focus this on getting people to follow you on your profile.
Exactly. Have a social card at the end saying, "Hey, follow me." You know, I'm doing an idea pin Pearl series right now, and so my social card at the end says, "Hey, if you are interested in more awesome Pearl facts or whatever, I'm publishing. Follow me. Here's my profile."
Okay, awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, cool. So video is a thing. We got idea pins, and I want to kind of just like really, really dial this in. Like when you're advising people like in Momentum or other clients that you have, like what is the structure that you recommend for content? How often do you want them to post? Like what is like, how is that all like what's evolving now with Pinterest?
So, you know, you just need to stay consistent, really. I mean, even if you're not publishing that frequently, as long as you're publishing consistently, because the algorithm will then adjust to your frequency. And so if you're just consistent with, 5 pins a week, you're good. You know, if you're consistent with 20 pins a week, you're good. You just need to be consistent. So I like to, for me, because I'm publishing for 2 platforms or for 2 businesses, sorry. I like to do a content sprint at the beginning of every quarter. And I usually like to try to publish 4 blog posts. That's usually my goal. And so I will take the first week of the first quarter to try to write all that content out. Mm-hmm. And then I will create 5 pins for each blog post. Right now, video pins and idea pins are getting the most distribution. So I like to be most efficient with my time. So I don't really mess around anymore with static images because they just don't get the distribution that video pins and idea pins get. So I actually make 4 video pins or 5 video pins and then 1 idea pin for every post. Right now, I'm actually testing using more, just like doing a heck of a lot more idea pins, just because Pinterest, like anytime a platform comes out with a new feature, it means that they are wanting to push that feature, which means that they're going to just favor the distribution of that new feature, just like Instagram is really favoring Reels, right? That's the best way you can grow your Instagram account right now because it's new and that's the thing that they want to push. So same thing with idea pins right now on Pinterest. The same thing is happening where they are really favoring idea pins and distribution. So I'm actually making more than 1 idea pin per blog post. I'm trying to really stretch out that blog post as far as I can by creating more video pin or more idea pin content. So
my other question for you on this is like, it sounds like based on what you're saying, and I don't know if this is true, that the longevity of these pieces of content last longer on Pinterest as opposed to something on
Instagram. Oh my gosh.
Is that
so much longer? I mean, I have pins that are still driving traffic from 2 years ago. I mean, this is the thing. Your content gets better the longer it's on the platform. So it is evergreen. It is a continuous traffic driver long after you publish it. And also idea pins don't disappear. So they are also permanent. They don't. So they are not like stories on Instagram where they're ephemeral. These things are permanent. So once you publish them, they're always there.
Okay, cool. So let's say you're advising someone who kind of took a hiatus from Pinterest and they're getting back in. Where would you have them start?
Publishing idea pins. It's 100%. Like
that's
100%. That's it. Start using idea pins. And I know it's like, it's just like people are resistant to change, right? And I know I've seen a lot of pushback from creators with idea pins, not only because they don't link out, because, it's like, wait a second, you can't link out, but we've always been able to put links everywhere. Like Pinterest has been known to just put links everywhere because we want people to go to your site once they find what they're looking for, right? That's its core function as a search engine, right? So once they want you to find what you're looking for and then get the heck out of there. But with idea pins, they just simply are the best way to grow your account right now. And for me, it's just like, if a platform tells you that this is the best way to grow your account, I'm going to listen to that platform. And I'm going to get past the uncomfortableness of learning something new, and get in there. And also there's so many idea pins now in your home feeds that you can start looking at them, start seeing how people are using them, start getting some inspiration on how other brands are also using them as well, to get some ideas started for your brand. But yeah, use idea pins, man. That is the best way to grow your account right now, hands down.
Okay, awesome. Andrea, this has been amazing. And I cannot wait to learn more about all this stuff as well. Where can people find you?
You can find me for my Pinterest marketing blog, where I give you awesome Pinterest marketing tips. And I'm making opt-ins for those too. But once you're on my list, you get those fresh new opt-ins just delivered to your email inbox. So you can find me there at www.redpingeek.com. You can find my jewelry brand at andrealee.com. You can find me on Instagram, Andrea Lee Designs. And you can find me on Instagram as Red Pin Geek.
Amazing. Andrea, this was so awesome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching this video today. This is Tracy Matthews signing off. If you haven't done so yet, make sure that you hit that little like button below and you subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so yet. Also, if you're interested in getting more help and to work with amazing coaches like Andrea, who coach in programs like Momentum and our Laying the Foundation program, well, then I'd love to invite you to take the next step with us over here at Flourish and Thrive and apply for a free complimentary strategy audit. On that audit, we're going to take a look at your business right now and take a look at what's happening at it. We're also going to help you cast a wide vision to kind of imagine what you're trying to create over the next 3 years. So we're going to take a deep look at the goals that you're trying to achieve, at some of your lifestyle goals and financial goals that you want to hit for your business. And then we're going to kind of connect the dots. We're going to take a look at what's happening in your business now. We're going to identify any roadblocks that might be preventing you from reaching those goals. And we're going to leave you after this audit with a clear plan forward. And if it makes sense, we're going to invite you to join one of our programs. So if you'd like to learn more about that, head on over to flourishthriveacademy.com/strategy and apply for your free strategy audit today. All right. This is Tracy Matthews signing off. Until next time.